until it gets cooler, and the only way that they wouldn't, well, not the only way, but one of the ways that would that potentially make them move is if a prey animal came onto them and presented the opportunity to them. So that's where we're standing now, folks, and there's a beautiful, if you just come down a little bit now, mate, to the right, you got this individual. I do apologise, Andrew, to just make you as you zoom in there, but we've got this individual just walking off, and you can see looking for better shade under there with one of his pack members. So that's where we're at, folks, and it's pretty special. It was an amazing morning. Folks, I think I might just quickly recap over that again, because I think we had a bit of a sound issue, and a vehicle that's sending a signal to a repeater, to a satellite, to London, and then to the United States and all over the place. So do apologise, but occasionally these little glitches crop up. So just in a nutshell, we had a really beautiful encounter with the wild dog this morning. We came on to quarantine with them. The area is called quarantine. The light was beautiful. I remember one time Andrew had the camera on the dogs, and I was looking on a monitor, and I was just tracking along at the same speed at them. They were trotting along at about about 8 miles an hour, just over 10 kilometres an hour, and it was fantastic. It looked really beautiful. And then we followed them down to the dam where they had the encounter with the hyena, and a bit of an altercation there. Put the hyena in his place, and he took off and then carried on hunting. We got to a point where we are right now where it's just getting too warm for them, and they've gone looking for shade. So we're in the presence of five wild dog, and those 5 wild dog are known as the Investec pack. They used to be 7 up until I think it was about a week ago. A couple of them were killed, and we now have 5. But these dogs the average, we had a great question before, if you weren't with us and you've just joined us, we had a great question about what's the average pack size. It's about sort of 7 to 9, 10 in this part of Africa. But in Kruger there has been amazing sightings, as I said, of up to 30. And I mean, I do recall there was a wonderful scientist, I just can't remember his name, I met in Kruger probably 20 years ago. Oh goodness, I might have to go back in my mind to remember his name, but he was a wonderful man that took us to see some wild dogs, and he's told us stories of seeing up to 7 to 10 animals is quite common, and probably an average number. So I'm just going to reposition ourselves and try and get a little bit better a shot for Andrew, because it's a bit tricky for him. He's got lots of vegetation in front of him. And I'll just go around the back and see if we can get these 2 dogs over on the left, Andrew. Folks, we do this often. The dogs do not get disturbed, and I want you to know that the dogs are always fine. We wouldn't be doing this if it would disturb the dogs. They might put their head up, but that'll be about it. And I'll just gingerly go in here and try and get Andrew a shot of the dogs. At least you can see their tails flick and things like that. I do apologise. You can probably see them just there. Welcome aboard, Yvonne. It's great to have you on board from New Jersey, another place I've been to America in the United States, and a fantastic place it is. Yvonne, you've asked a question that we get asked many times, and it's a really, really good question because it sort of allows a lot of people to understand why we do what we do. I'm just going to see if this dog repositions himself, or I'm going to, just so you don't have my hat in the way. He's just moved down. He might be able to smell something, actually. I'll just move my head out of the way. That's probably the easiest thing for Andrew. So Yvonne, you're asking, don't the vehicles crashing through the bush affect the dog's hunting ability, or any predator for that matter? The answer to it is no, Yvonne, because we've been doing this for so long, and these animals are so habituated, and we've been on them with so many successful hunts while we've been with them, and some not successful. We know that they've got very acute senses. They'll be relying on their sense of smell as much as their sense of hearing as well. And everything combined, I'm just going to try and get forward for you, mate. Sorry, Yvonne, I'm just talking to Andrew, and just let me get a better picture for you here. But Yvonne, it's a really, really super question that you ask, and it's obvious that you care about animal welfare like we all do. We have a very, very strict, how's that for you, mate? Just talking to Andrew, Yvonne, I do apologise. It's just a bit tricky where we are. Exactly good. Okay, I'll stay where I am. Yvonne, apologies about that. And you obviously care hugely about animal welfare, as all of us do. We wouldn't be doing this job if we didn't. There's this great word, and I did touch on it yesterday, but just a little bit more. Habituation is a word that's used in wildlife viewing and tourism hugely, and it basically means that you condition the animals to understand that we are not a threat. Now, I know you're not talking about threat. You're talking about us imposing or impinging the animal's ability to hunt. And I just want to reiterate, but we do have so many successful hunts with these animals that we stay a safe distance, or a respectful distance as well. The vehicles, particularly the vehicle we're in, has an engine in it that is a very, very quiet engine, and the animals can normally, because of the distance we are away, they might pick up an alarm call of an animal and a prey species very, very easily. So, but the thing I also just want to touch on, you talked about the sort of sound of us crashing through. It does sound a lot more intense on these microphones that we have on the vehicles and the cameras than it actually is, and I really want to push that home to everyone. It sounds like we're taking the paint off and scratching the trees up and down the sides of the vehicles. It's not that bad exactly where we are, but the microphones have a tendency to magnify that sound dramatically. So hopefully, Yvonne, we've put your mind at ease there, and understand that animal welfare is, to all of us, incredibly important on an individual basis. To me, there is no way on the planet that I would ever try and change an animal's behaviour, or affect an animal's behaviour by being in its presence. So I hope you understand that. It's a very, very heartfelt comment from me, and I know all the other people I work with and all the guides here in Sabi Sands and Kruger are the same. Animals come first. We get in as fast as we can, or the best we can, and then we respect morally and ethically how we conduct ourselves. But thank you very, very much for the question, Yvonne. Really great one, and I'm sure a lot of people think the same thing. just trying to watch to see what individuals are where. There's one that I think right in your vision that you just had. There's one lying down. There's another one in a tree just on it. Sorry, underneath a tree, not in a tree. Underneath a tree next to that. There's a couple more over to the right. So they're very hard to see at the moment, folks. But I suppose it's like, you know, we're in the presence of them. We will probably cross back to Pete sometime very shortly. But I just wanted to also elaborate a little bit more on the reason why the number has changed in this pack. This wild dog pack, as I said before, if you've just joined us, used to be 7, but is now 5. Now, they met up with another pack, which doesn't end up in sort of happy days all the time. They normally will have a bit of conflict. And one will either try and get out of the situation, or it's injured. We think they're just assuming it was injured. We think that the other individual died. Unfortunately, that's what. And we're really, really lucky to be here. Just got them lying down, and they pop their heads up now and again. That's very, very characteristic of wild dogs, and lion as well. You'll see them do it. They'll pop their head up, they hear a sound, or they're used to our voices. It's not that, they're just hearing. They're either looking for a potential opportunity or looking out for predators as well. So they've always got to keep their wits about them, even though they look like they're sleeping. They will be very, very alert, and you can tell those beautiful big ears give them a great ability to hear everything that's going around. The vegetation here, folks, is very, very thick, so it's very difficult access. I just brought one of the other vehicles in, and they took about 40 minutes to find where we were. So it is a very, very tricky place to get in and out of, and I think we're probably just going to sit tight for the minute, and we'll see what happens. Anna-Marie, welcome aboard, and thanks for your tweet. It's great to have you with us this morning on Wild Safari Live, and it's just been an incredible morning. And I do often give these distances, but it's great to have you, everyone out there, and thank you, Anna-Marie, for doing this, reminding me to explain how far I am away from the dogs, because sometimes through the camera it's a little bit difficult to gauge how far we are away. So thanks, Anna-Marie. It's really a great question. I'm about, I'd say 10 metres, about 30 feet from the individual that Andrew, has in the shot at the moment. Very difficult to see that animal. It's just next to that tree and pops his head up now and again. I'm about 30 feet, 10 metres away from him. This morning, They walked right down the edge of my vehicle, completely unperturbed by us, focused on what they were doing, right in front of the vehicle as well. So they will approach the vehicle in a situation like that, but this is a comfortable distance for them and for us, and I would never encroach on that and try and get closer, because all you'll do is disturb them, make them get up and move to another tree and get shade, and that's not what we're here for. So this is a really perfect distance, it feels to me, and you just get this intuitive feeling about it. So about 10 metres, about 30 feet. So thank you so much for your question, and great to have you on board. Excuse me. I do apologise about my coughing and spluttering in Andrew and I this morning. It's woken up with a bit of a husky voice this morning. Really great question from Chris in Yosemite. Wow, Yosemite, what a place, Chris. I would love to go to, and hopefully one day I'll be able to do that. Chris, great to sort of keep this on a international, and I've always had this term, global, local, and I'll talk more about that after I answer your question. But Chris, you're asking whether we have the equivalent in Australia, and we do. We certainly do. We've got an animal called a dingo, which is spelled D-I-N-G-O. It's about the same size as a wild dog, very similar in its behaviour and its hunting strategies and things. Very successful. Our largest canid or probably our largest terrestrial predator, actually. Obviously, saltwater crocodiles are our biggest predator in Australia, but we have a dingo, and they're a beautiful looking dog. There's a couple of different varieties of them, and I say varieties, in the colder areas, even though everyone thinks Australia is very, very hot all year round. It's not. It gets down to very, very cold temperatures and below freezing in the Alps, well, what we call Alps anyway, and then in the desert as well. As you know, deserts get very, very cold. So, but the mountain dingoes have got a much thicker coat, and they're beautiful looking dogs, absolutely fantastic. If you go back from their origins, there's thoughts that they did come across potentially from New Guinea many thousands of years ago, with people. Who knows how the original origination of them? But there is a dog that that occurs in New Guinea called the New Guinea wild dog. It does look a little bit similar. But who knows? And I'm sure if you looked up after we finished Wild Safari Live online, you'll be able to learn a bit more about dingoes. But great question, and thank you very, very much for asking that. So my little point about global local is that here we are sitting in Djuma in Sabi Sands in South Africa. It's great to remember that not only is Wild Safari Live a global program that we're all watching, we can take those questions internationally as well and bring it back down to exactly where we are right now. So I think that's one of the most fantastic things, the interaction that we have with you, and as I always say, we wouldn't be here without you guys. So thanks so much for being with us today. I think it's probably a good time. These dogs are really flat now, and we're just looking at grass. It can be great for a bit while they pop their heads up and whatnot. But if they just go down, we're just looking at grass. And I want to make sure we find out what Pete's up to. So why don't we do that right now? Let's cross to Pete, and we'll see you just now.
Well, Warthog back with us this side. Welcome back with us this side. We're looking at some Warthogs. And Warthogs in the Sabi Sands, in the area that we're in, they can sometimes be a little bit nervous, just because they are at the top of the menu for leopard, lion, even wild dog and hyena sometimes. So it's great to see them like this. This specific little group we see quite often. We're on an area here called Sandy Patch, sort of halfway towards Waitela Lodge. And we're quite happy to see them, nice and relaxed. This is an adult female, the one on the right hand side. And then the one to the left of her would be probably a offspring from last year that's still with her, a young male. And then the one on the far left, the little one, would be one that was born this year. Most likely would have had 2 or 3 siblings, but normally out of 3 or 4 little piglets, 1 or 2 make it to adulthood. So, but very, very good condition. All 3 of them are really healthy. That one should be around 6-7 months old now, maybe a little bit, 8 months at the most. Here's the young one. Why I say this is a young male, it's not from the tusks, because it is a young one. The tusks aren't very big, but look very carefully at the face. If you look from the eye down towards the nose, back to the female, she's doing something that warthogs are often seen doing. She's down on her knees like that. It's technically her wrists, but let's not get too technical about what is what in the design of the legs. It looks like she's down on her knees getting to the short grass. And warthogs do that a lot when they're eating short bits of grass, or also when they're digging. They've got, those tusks are very, very good for digging. And if you look quickly now, just with a silhouetted view of the mouth, there you can see the big tusk. But look, as she's chewing, you'll have to look very carefully. You can see there's a lower set of teeth as well. Not as big as the top tusks. You'll notice they're quite sharp if you look. You'll have to look very carefully. There you can see it in silhouette. That lower set is very, very sharp because it's actually grinding against the top tusk. So the top tusk is more like a blunt object, like a hammer, so to speak. So you're using it for digging out roots and for fighting with the males, for defense for the females. But the dangerous, the sharp instrument is that lower set of tusks. Much smaller, but they can use it if they're digging out a root and they can't break it. They can literally cut it with it. It's got an edge like a knife to it. Or when the males fight, that also plays a role. And then ultimately for defense. Warthogs are not tackled lightly by any predator. Even lion, even leopard, they have to be wary of warthogs. I know of lions and I know of leopards that have been killed by injuries caused by warthogs. So that's what that lower set of tusks are for. Well, there we can see the younger one, definitely a male, apart from the warts on the face that showed us earlier. Now at the same time, we're obviously with these warthogs, there's also a nice herd of impala. As we arrived here, there was a little bit of activity, but they seem to be settling down a bit. Now you can see this is a nice open area. Just pop around to this side. The impalas over there, they are starting to settle down a bit. You can see a few of them are standing in the shade now. And I don't see the male at the moment. He's off on the side. We'll have a look at him just now. But those guys getting into the shade, the other one's still grazing a little bit. But they are getting into the sort of the slower part of the morning, as we can see from a lot of the behavior. The wild dogs getting a bit more relaxed. A lot of animals now would have had their initial sort of morning activity, feeding, going down to drink perhaps, grooming, all that kind of thing. And now they'll be slowing down and just taking a bit easy. Impalas, like the buffalo from earlier, they are ruminants, so they'll need to spend some time ruminating or chewing the food from this morning again. But there'll be a bit of activity as well. There's the male. If we keep going, he's off to the side at the moment. But as I said a few minutes ago, as we arrived here, he was actually chasing the females around, keeping them in a herd. And we are getting into the rutting season now. For the rest of May and beginning June, into June as well, you will see this on various occasions on the drives. Lots of activity from the males. In this case, he's on his own. I don't see a bachelor herd close by. A bachelor herd would obviously refer to a group of male impala. And as we get more and more into the height of the rutting season, you would always have bachelor male impalas hanging around the periphery of these groups. And you'll have the dominant male, which in this case is the guy we're looking at. He would be chasing them away. And in doing so, he's showing them that he's fit and healthy, so don't mess with me. He's also showing the females that, look at me, I'm fit enough to chase these guys away. And the fitter and stronger you are, the more opportunities you will have for mating. But you will certainly learn a lot about the rutting season over the next couple of weeks. You get fascinating behavior and lots of sounds and noise and running around and fighting amongst the males. So it is something that is quite interesting to see. But more about rutting as we experience it over the next many weeks. For now, I'm going to say goodbye. It's been a lovely morning, great big surprise starting with the Wilddogs. Lovely little intimate moment with the hyenas. From myself, Pieter, Pretoria, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Brian on camera, always fantastic. And HT is going to say goodbye to you from the Wilddogs. We'll see you this afternoon for the afternoon safari.
So folks, we've stuck with them for quite a long time this morning. They did go flat, and that's just one of those things. You have to be with them and be in there on their terms, and that's what we were one of the pack this morning, where they allowed us to be with them all that time. You can probably hear some noise off here. One of the other vehicles is just leaving the location, but I just wanted to show you that he just popped his head up there. You might be able to come in nice and tight there, Andrew, just to see that beautiful boy. Dogs since this morning has been an incredible time. We've been really lucky. We saw that hyena interaction. It was just fantastic. He's just gotten up too, Lil. And just moving off. I might just reposition. He's going to look for some more shade, I think. I think he's really looking for shade in there. I might just take a little back up here. We've got a couple of minutes left, so I'll have to make this quite quick, folks. Just how's my back there, mate? All good. Just going to try and get down here so we can see these dogs before we finish. They've decided to go for some more shade. Yeah, they're just lying down here. A bit tricky. Just over there, there's one there. One just there. So what, folks, I'm just going to let you watch these dogs. They're going for more shade. It's getting really hot where they are. And I just want to say thank you for being with us this morning. You can hear that high-pitched squealing communication call that they're using there. And thank you for being with us on Wild Safari Live. If you've got any questions or you want to have any comments, please let us know. Tweet us at #SafariLive or questions@wildearth.tv. It's been an absolute pleasure to have you on board this morning. I really thank you for all the support and understanding this morning, because it was a bit of a frenetic start, and Andrew and I have had a beautiful morning, and basically it's a sign off from me. We can't really see the pups, but I can assure you they're there, and we'll try and pick up on them later on. Have a great day or night wherever you are, and we'll see you soon. Thanks so much. Bye now.